Thomas the Tank Engine is the most relatable show I've ever seen. Someone wants to be more than they are, wants to do more, and they get their chance, and they do it fantastically. I'm telling you, you can't tell me you've never had to relate to this. Wilbert, for example, wanted to take Slate around the island, and look at him now. He's the permanent Slate delivery engine. This is massively used in this show. It's the reason I love, respect, appreciate, and can relate to this show. This is what I'll one day look like when someone, finally and positively mentions Thomas and Friends. If you've read or even know about the Railway series, you have my full respect. The Railway series is a series of children's books made by Reverend Wilbert Awdry. They take place on a fictional island on the Irish Sea just off the English coast. It's called the Island of Shador. There are standard, narrow, and miniature gauge railways on this island. This is the main cast. The island of Shador has many stations, including Knapford, Tidmouth, Lower Tidmouth, Vikerstown, Crovan's Gate, Brendam, and Ballyhoo, among others. Some other stations include Abbey, Bluffs Cove, Callendale, Cronk, Elsbridge, Great Waterton, Harwick, Haltrow, Kelsthorpe Road, Kirkmatchin, Lower Sudbury, Maithwaite, Miners Halt, Peel Godred, Sportsfield Halt, Sudbury, Tidmouth Bay, Tidmouth Town Square, and Ulfstead. There's also Farquhar, Hakenbeck, and more, but I'd rather not waste your time. Like I said, the Railway series is a series of books about the railways of the island of Shador. The books were created by the R.E.V.W. Awdry, who wrote the first stories in 1942. He wrote 26 books from 1945 to 1972. A further 16 books were written by his son Christopher Awdry. The final book in the series, Thomas and His Friends, was published in 2011. The series formed the basis for Thomas and Friends, with many of its books and stories being adapted for television. The books themselves also exist in the series universe. When Wilbert Awdry was a child, he was always interested in railways, much like his father. He liked to watch trains on the Great Western Railway. To him, the noise of the locomotive's exhaust almost sounded like dialogue. For example, the larger engine having trouble climbing the hills would appear to be saying, "I can't do it, I can't do it," and the smaller engine helping them would sound like it was saying, "I will do it, I will do it, I will do it." In 1942, Wilbert's son Christopher had measles and was confined to bed. To prevent their son getting bored, Wilbert and his wife Margaret Awdry told him stories and nursery rhymes. Most of them eventually lost their entertainment value, but one that continually appealed to Christopher was the rhyme down by the station. Wilbert subsequently drew a picture of several engines standing in a row based on the rhyme, and for fun gave them faces with various expressions. One sad-looking engine appealed to Christopher, as it shared his mood, and he asked what his name was. Wilbert replied with the first name to come to his head, Edward. Through a series of questions and answers, the story of Edward's Day Out was created. Eventually, Christopher began asking for more stories, and Awdry obliged him with Edward and Gordon, and the sad story of Henry, the latter being inspired by another rhyme he was fond of. Christopher would constantly ask for the stories to be retold, even after he recovered, and to ensure consistency between tellings, Wilbert wrote them down on the back of old church circulars. Margaret Awdry also liked the stories and told her husband to get them published, as she felt they were better than most children's books in circulation. Awdry was reluctant, but Margaret persisted and mentioned the stories in a letter to Wilbert's mother, Lucy, who replied that she knew the author Michael Barsley and asked that the stories be sent to her so she could forward them to him. At Margaret's insistence, Wilbert did so. Barsley's attempts to find a publisher were unsuccessful, so he showed the stories to his agent, Edith Ray Gregerson, who liked them and agreed to pursue the matter further. Her attempts to find a publisher were initially no more successful, as most were suffering paper shortages due to the Second World War. But in September 1943, Edmund Ward agreed to publish them, though refused to commit to a publication date, to Wilbert's annoyance. In October, Ward wrote to say that the stories would be published as one book entitled The Three Railway Engines, but that he required rough sketches for his illustrator to base his pictures on and a fourth story to finish off the book. While Awdry was annoyed at the requests, since Ward had already rejected his drawings, he agreed and wrote Edward, Gordon, and Henry. While it was hoped this would speed up publication, the book was not published until the 12th of May 1945. the book was an immediate commercial success, quickly selling out its initial print run of 20,500 copies and going through to more by the end of the year. Audrey, while happy to see his book in print, was disappointed in the illustrations by William Middleton. This is all I'll say for this video. I bored you, haven't I? Well, you can go now. I know I'm going. Thanks for watching. Make sure to blow that subscribe whistle. Pull the Pipek Leaner like button and stay awesome. Bye now.